Well, welcome to our spring update here at Tennessee Tropics. I may look real relaxed right now, but there's been a lot of work going on around here. So today we're going to take a look and see a little bit about what we've been doing, and we're going to take a look at the survivors and the what did well and what didn't do well over winter, and I'm going to give you a little spring tour here first to start off of what we've done and what the garden looks like. And so it's going to be a pretty big update, so stay tuned and let's see what's going on. Well, here's the way everything's looking in Tennessee in almost the middle of March. And it's hard to believe that backyard can be this green in March and looks good, but this is part of our year-round tropical. So we have our rocket palm, which we didn't cover it the last time, which went down to 10 degrees. It looks really good there. And we've got our Sabal miner here. And our little bitty, or at least compared to these big palms, a lot of these palms here are a lot larger than you realize. This little saw palmetto here, about 1.5 feet tall. Had it covered most of the winter because it's not growing much, and when a palm's not growing much like that, it'll really take some damage, rot real easy. That's part of the reason it rots. That fungus gets down in there and gets us started in a little spot, and the palm's not growing fast enough, and it takes over the palm. So all throughout the yard we've had these little things like this little Waggy times Fortunae windmill palm, little small ones here, and a lot of them did real well. We covered a few, but even the ones we didn't cover did pretty good. Another Sabal miner in the back, and of course we have our really large Louisiana here, which is doing real well. Should be huge this year. It's about 7 to 8 foot tall here now. And going down here, just take a look at one of our projects. We redid the concrete here, put a coating on it, acrylic, and that ended up being quite the job. And this palm had pushed up here some, so I decided to go ahead and raise this up. This palm was planted a lot lower, but some of them just keep pushing up. I don't know what causes them to do that sometimes, where it has something under there where they can't grow down, or what that makes them push up as bad as this one, but it made a little rock wall. And you can see here finally, I mean, it took a long time, but finally now we have a chair that's basically under a palm tree here in Tennessee, which is probably a rarity. So that palm should grow quite a bit, and but this palm now is about 8 to 9 foot tall, maybe at the tallest. So it's getting on up there, and we'll look at our little path back here, these little ground cover. This is speedwell. And this stuff is blooming like crazy now. So you can see our little ground cover. Look at that stuff. All the way down through there. All the path. It's got that growing. And we'll take a look around here. Finally big enough to show it, or I don't know if I've showed it much before. We've got a little Louisiana here. Hopefully it'll grow pretty big here eventually. And we've got a little Sabal miner, and here's a look at our palmetto here. I'll give you a better look at it. It's a bad angle right here. Another time. And that palmetto was protected this year. This brazoria was not. This year we went through a 4 degree and a 10 degree, so it got pretty cold. Brazoria went through pretty good. Has a little bit of damage on these outside fronds here. But as we move on around, we'll take a look. I have to go to a different angle here. It's hard to get some of these angles sometimes. Going to be a little bit of dark, bad sun angle, but this is one of our large Trachycarpus fortunii. This one has the stiff fronds. It took a little damage to the outside of the tips where it was touching some of the frost cloth, and it got down to that 4, but from a distance you can't really tell it. Okay, you can see a little bit of view of some of the other palms here. We got another Sabal minor. As we come on around, we'll show some of the plants that did not do quite as well. This little Fatsia, it was uncovered this whole winter, and it's drooping quite a bit. I'm not real sure what to do with it. Where to cut on this stem here is, I don't know whether it's going to come back from that or not. If anybody knows what to do with that, where I should cut some of that off or not, let me know. Not sure on that one. There's another little Fatsia, and you can see this thing took quite a bit of damage too. And this little Windmill took some damage here, so it's in the loser category this year. And back in the back, we've got our little Sabal minor, the little dwarf. No damage really to speak of there. It's got overhead protection, but it's real tough. And in the winter category, even though it got a little damaged here, is these cast iron plants. These things are tough as everything. These were all uncovered. And the green forms seem to do good. Some of the other forms I got took a little damage. So just the green form, like you find in the nursery center, as an indoor plant. That's what you can plant. And of course, our little Christmas ferns, they get a little beat up during the winter, but you know, there's what they look like. They're going to come out with new growth or whatever here in the spring, so they look a whole lot better. But going through winter looking like that's pretty strong, going through a 4 degree and a 10 degree. And here we have one of the little cast iron plants that was a little exotic type one. I think it was a speckled or whatever. I'm not sure the name of it. I'll have to look. But you can see it got completely burned. Hopefully it'll come back from the ground. It took some major damage. There's another one of those Fatsias. It's got the same problem. It's like rotted kind of at the top here, but this little stem is pretty strong. I'm not sure where to cut on this thing. There again, if anybody knows, let me know. And looking right here, we have our Aucuba japonica. And these things, they go really crazy during the winter. When it's really cold, they look like, you know, it's dying. But it like folds up and looks really frostbitten, and then as soon as the cold goes away, it just comes back like nothing happened. So it went through a 4 and a 10, no problem. Of course, we got our potted bamboo here, which is just never takes any damage. We probably have to get down to a -10, and even in the pot, these things do good. This is a Butia. And here we've got our Waggy palm. This is our bigger one. This one's about 8 or 9 feet tall. It's got a trunk that's over my head here now. So it's got about a 6 foot tall trunk. And it's got some really long fronds here. We're hoping it'll get up over taller, just a little bit taller. That way it'll be over this pool walkway. We have a little narrow walkway here in the back. It's hard to walk by with this down here. And you can see, somebody was asking me the other day that, you know, why a palm keeps fronds, you know, all the way down the trunk. And this one would have more, except we've had to cut it just to be able to wrap it some. And that means a palm is really healthy. A palm that the fronds die out really quickly is something, it's just not getting enough water or sun or something that it wants, fertilizer. So So if you see that happening, that's something going on, or the roots are not established good, something wrong with it. Here's another one of our Fortunais. I don't think I have enough distance here to get this one anymore. This one's 9-10 foot tall. And we got down here another one that's going to be a loser overall. This is our Sabal Birmingham. It's gotten down here. It took a beating one year, and now it's in the shade, and so it's going to have a tough time recovering in the shade. So if you've got a palm in the shade, you know, a Sabal palm in one of these colder zones, you're in trouble. And here, down here, I did another one of these deals where I put some of these blocks down here. I got a couple of issues here. I'm working on some of that. First time doing that type of thing. But let's see, over here, got another one of our little Sabal minor dwarfs, and it's in great shape. Speaking of things that did real well, I don't understand how I did this well, is this little bonsai plant here. This thing, I don't know the name of it either. Maybe some of y'all that are familiar with it can look it up. I know it's one of the ones that's easy to grow, but this is how it came out looking after being in the garage the entire winter. Of course, it had a little light out there and everything, but there's not even a single yellow, brown leaf, nothing. Of course, this thing's gotten a little bigger than a bonsai because we've had it a lot of years, and we're just not that picky with trimming it and that sort of thing. Some new one of these little lights out here. I really like those things. Got them on Amazon. Well, we ended up putting our Washingtonia out here. Got two of these, and both of them are looking pretty good, about like this. I came through winter in the garage fine, and I'm hoping to not have to take them in again. I won't take them in unless it gets under 30 probably, or an ice storm or something like that. And speaking of things that did well, we had our needle palms back here, which did really well, except a couple of trunks on a couple of them spear pulled this year, but just a couple, and I think they'll probably recover. Here's our Sabal Birmingham. This one took a beating for a couple years, but it's trying to make a comeback. It did okay this year. I did cover it during that 4 because I just couldn't stand it to do that again, to get beat up. Sabal minor, we don't cover those any. Probably won't ever cover those again. One of our bigger needle palms in there. Another needle palm. You can see it before things get growing in here. We grow a lot of other things in here. And here you can see this dead fronds. That's a sure sign that there's something wrong. I'll check that out and see. But if you see these dead fronds up in some of the newer fronds on any of your palms, that's a bad sign. You need to be checking for spear pull or something like that. All right, we'll go over here. Here's our Butia. Did an unwrap video on that if you want to see it. This thing's going to be huge this year. It has about, I don't know what you'd call that on the trunk, 2 or 3 feet. Sabal Riverside here, which died to the ground. I don't see any growth in it so far. I don't think I'm going to worry about trying to replace this if it's that bad, because this one died or got hurt really bad just during the 14 degrees. So and out here we have a couple of Sabal minors. These things, Sabal Louisiana, they're all getting a little bigger. And this area we have several windmill palms. We got these last two were uncovered during the 10 degree. This big one we moved. I got a little nervous because it's not growing well, so I covered it up during the 10. That one's, I'm not sure how tall that is, 11, 12 feet. We've got a pretty good size Birmingham here. This one's starting to get a trunk at the bottom, fairly good size. We did cover it up because I just can't stand to see that one get hurt too. We covered it during the 4. And we got a Sabal minor. And here's a new addition, which I showed on another video. Here's our Waggy palm that took the place of our mule palm. You can go back and look at some of our videos of our mule palm on our channel if you want to see what was here before. If you're not following along, it's Wagnerianus. So a regular windmill palm is a Trachycarpus fortunei, and this is a Trachycarpus Wagnerianus. And it has much smaller fronds, and they always stay stiff. And it'll just be a little bit more compact and a little slower growing. And as far as the next thing, that's the last thing on the list here, and the last loser is going to get replaced, is this Washingtonia. And this thing, we've been covering it some, and this year it decided to spear pull, and its spear pull is so deep I'm sure it's dead. So anyway, that's what's happening out here. I'll give you a look from over here. And there's a final look at how the pool is looking here in March in Tennessee. And you gotta remember, this is Tennessee, so we've got all these tropical plants, so you know, it's quite the oddity here. But some of them, if you get covered, like these big windmills, and a lot of them don't. But here, as soon as spring comes around good, we'll have a lot of other tropicals coming out, like canna and elephant ears and that sort of thing. So follow along this year, and we'll see you later. Hope you enjoyed this video.